Hi. To answer the question in your text, I don't know. I don't think it was a med thing because everything else that I've consumed today has tasted normal and fine. So I don't feel like my sense of taste is being altered by meds. It's like, it just, part of it, I realized part of it was, I didn't, it was like after I had the repulsion, I was like, a cup of tea sounds better. Whereas, for weeks, I just want bubbles in the morning, anytime. So, like that, just not wanting bubbles could have been a part of it, but the taste was nasty. It was gross. It was like really, really, really syrupy and chemical and stomach turning at the same time. And maybe my stomach was too empty to handle that, but I was grossed out really bad. And it was perfectly chilled, so that was not an issue. So I was at Stop and Shop and I picked up The Mystery Deepens Coke Zero. I had read about Coke Zero on Data Lounge, and there was this debate on Data Lounge of what was the superior diet soda, Diet Coke or Coke Zero. And there are these Coke Zero advocates that were like, it's so good, it's so much better than Diet Coke. And way like months ago, I almost bought it, and I didn't because, and now I forgot why I didn't do it. But today I'm at the store and I'm like, Coke Zero. I'm like, what makes it zero? And what makes it zero is aspartame, whatever that is, NutraSweet. It, how is it not the same thing? How is it not the same thing as Diet Coke? So I really wanted like one can or like a 6 pack. They're never going to sell one can there of this unusual version of Coca-Cola, but they didn't have cans unless you were willing to buy like the big 12 pack one. And I wasn't willing to do that. So I bought it in a plastic bottle, and that's going to affect my experience. So I'm concerned about that this experiment isn't being done. The control or whatever, I don't know. They're not all in cans. So, okay, that's an issue. But I'll get the basic gist of the taste. Going back to Coke Splenda, okay, I was saying previously that it tasted a lot like Coke. Well, it still did, but I think that if I had this morning a Coca-Cola and I was planning on taking my meds, I could see me taking a sip or swallowing a pill and being like, I'm not feeling this. Like, it's too sweet for right now. I don't want the bubbles. I'm going to have tea. But, it would still just be Coke. It's just, I'm not in the mood for a Coke. But the Coke Splenda this morning was, like I said, stomach turning, like, ugh, repulsive. Make of that what you will. I don't know. Moving on to my therapist, who I saw today. We didn't talk about the issue of her and her husband, who was my psychiatrist, until like the very end. But she is very pretty. Not as pretty as the picture, but whatever. A little older looking, and but actually, to me, that's a good thing. And it's funny because last week when I saw Dr. Allen, he has beautiful skin and nice silky hair, and I always thought that he was younger, but all of a sudden I noticed like gray hairs here and there, and I thought, oh, like maybe he's closer to my age. And I saw her, and she looks a little older, like 40-ish. So that's cool. She was very professional in a kind way. She seems perfectly fine. Um, I just don't get the vibe of crazy or crazy like all the last 6 therapists that I've had. And I did tell her, she asked, like, have I been in therapy? And I was like, oh, yeah. And I have a problem with it. And I want it to work and be good, but I've had bad therapists. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, first of all, it's like 6 people. And I'm concerned that with 6 people, I'm having a problem. Maybe I'm the problem, like one could assume that. But so it's hard to tell you my story, but I'll try. And I gave her a few of them. Jen, who convinced me to stop taking medication. And for years, I had symptoms and crises. And she never suggested go to a doctor. She talked about herself constantly. I felt like we were friends. She yelled at me about my baby, which is when I quit forever with her. And then Fran, I told her about, who talked about herself extensively and gave me spiritual advice. And then I told her about the cult leader guy who I had after her, who talked lectured me the whole session and kept me longer than the session. Then I told her about the lady that put her hands on my knees and just told me to listen to music. And then I told her about the guy who, when I cried, he ran out of the room to find Paul, to tell him I was suicidal or I should be taken to a hospital. So she was just like, she's like boundary issues. And like, anyway, then we had to go through my life history, which is complicated. And I'm a little bored with that because I had to do it to see Dr. Allen. I've had to do it with everybody all the time. Where were you born? How many siblings do you have? Are your parents alive? All that. I'm so bored with that. And then it starts getting into juicy questions, and she was like, we're going to go, this session is, we're going to touch on issues that you have that right now I just need like the basics, but of course we will delve into in future sessions, but right now I just need like a sketch of you. So we're going to be going fast, so that's hard. Like, so I mean, I have to stop myself from like babbling on and just going to the next thing and the next thing. And sometimes I would say something like, I was bullied or whatever. And she was like, you were bullied? Like, she would ask questions and make it a conversation. And then it'd be like, okay, and the next thing, I was aware of time passing. She wrote down a lot of things that I said, which I always think is good. Jen never did that. It's like, oh, are you remembering everything about me? Or no, you're just winging it every time you see me and whatever. So yeah, we got the thing that we got most not sidetracked but delved into was my relationship with John, the therapist, my first relationship, and how that impacted me, and Carol Ann's failure to protect me, or get me help or whatever. Just, I mean, she not only didn't help, she threw me to him. I would go to her for weekend visits, and she knew what had happened to us, and she would encourage me to go see him, hang out with him. So that's completely fucked up. I mean, it's way fucked up. That was the biggest thing we talked about. She is leaving this practice in 4 weeks, but she's moving to Port Jeff, so I'm cool with that. That's in my zone of manageable places to drive to. Um, 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 um. Oh, she asked me about my father, of course. She asked me about my mother and asked what my relationship was like, and I said confusing, and she was intrigued by that. And we talked about that somewhat, and she got to my father, and the first word that popped out was narcissist. Charming, funny, intelligent, but also cruel and self-centered. And also, I got into that he seemed to have like a marriage-like relationship with my sister, and my mother seemed shut out, and that's weird. And so blah 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 blah. Like I told her my story is complicated, and I was like, I am writing a book, and um, I should just give you the book so that you could get the gist of all this, because everything we're talking about, I'm writing about. And I suddenly had the thought, like, do I need to be here? Because I'm like working it out with my book, but I kind of do feel like my book is also traumatizing to me, like re traumatizing sometimes, not always. So yeah, I need to be in therapy. Also, I need to be in therapy, okay? So, I I can't think. Oh, I'm a little exhausted because I did therapy and then I went to Superfood Town. So Paul is making the tuna casserole tonight, and it's his first time. And I printed out my original recipe. I'm a little bit like I feel like I have special magic with that, and I'm a little possessive of some of my recipes. I am possessive of the recipes that I've gotten lots of positive feedback on. It's like, oh, this is my thing, you know. Um, but I guess if he just follows directions, it should still come out good. And you know, what the hell? It's fine. Let him do it. I mean, I don't feel like doing it. So, um, Coke Zero. I need to put it in the fridge, and we'll see. And I figured out today that I take 13 pills a day, throughout the day, and that depresses me. Yeah, that's it. That is it. I feel like I could say more about therapy, but it would just be like saying everything we talked about, and you know my history, and we talked about my history. So, but yes, she felt professional, very pretty, but not, you know, makeupy, like natural looking, and she feels kind and cool. I like her, so that's good. I will sign off now. Goodbye, and I hope to see you soon. Okay, bye bye.